Welcome back to how not to make a CSGO map. In the previous video, many of you said that you would like the video to be a bit longer than the last one. It's always good to have your feedback, and it certainly isn't the first time I've been criticised for the length of my content. The patio area we were working on in the last video is something I spent a lot of time fussing over. I knew how I wanted it to look, preferably using the same style of polished stone textures I'd used in the palace itself, but with some foliage surrounding it to transition between the highly materialistic palace to the pseudo-natural nature of the garden. The first draft of the garden is small and an area I struggled to think of ideas for, but we'll get to that in a bit. I split the patio into two tiers. The lower tier is slightly higher up than the garden and the driveway. I thought this would act as a nice foundation for the palace, so I decided to hollow out the top tier of the patio to make what I thought could be used as a maintenance area or shed or something of that ilk. It would also serve as an alternative route onto bomb site B. I may add to this area in the future and connect it with more of the palace. While working on the patio area, I thought it would be a good opportunity to expand on the balcony a bit. I couldn't find any ready-made models that suited my needs nicely. I could have made my own model here. However, when I was recording this, I was limited on time and decided instead to do what I could with brushes. I ended up with something better than I was expecting, but it's far from perfect. If you guys would be interested in an episode or two where I attempt to make a better model, let me know in the comments. Though it's been over a year since I last used Blender, so the result could be interesting. From this clip of me inspecting the map, you can see how nice these textures look. If you're interested in making a map, you should definitely look into getting some nice textures. If possible, make a few of your own. There is another map that I've been working on where I have made a few of my own textures, as well as using some of the freely licensed textures I've used in this map. The result is a map that looks like it's ready for Source 2, if Valve ever actually release CSGO Reborn. The patio is looking really nice in my opinion. One problem that I'm not too sure about how to fix is the textures on the curved stairs don't curve with the stairs. To the best of my knowledge, the easiest way to fix this is simply to warp the texture to fit the stairs, as I don't think Source has anything that advanced for texture manipulation, though please correct me if I'm wrong. The palace had to have a porch. Apparently, porches are the most common home improvement in the UK. I think it's probably because it's as close as many of us are ever going to get to actually owning an airlock. Currently, this airlock is missing a roof, so let's see if we can finish that off quickly. I didn't spend too much time mucking around with the textures here. After trying to get those rounded corners to look right, and failing spectacularly, I opted for the old sod it that'll do approach. Not dissimilar to how your typical Englishman might approach building his own porch. Now we start thinking about lighting. What good is a bad map if you can't even see how bad it's being? The corridor that connects the palace entrance to the stairs has been lacking any windows since I built it. So how about some small windows to let some light in, but still casting some long shadows on anything we decide to put in here. I'm pretty happy with how that looks for the moment. It lets enough light in to see without being able to see too clearly. We don't want to accidentally make this map playable now, do we? Next up, we're going to create the maintenance area I mentioned earlier. This is going to be used as the CT spawn area, at least for now. The stairs that lead into CT spawn are narrow and visible from T spawn. If a CT AWPer wants to peek into T spawn, he'll be blocking his teammates. Not that there's any reason I can see for a CT to want to walk straight in front of the terrorists, but there really isn't any way I can see of this map being played well. So I guess if you're going to play this map, you might as well play it an interesting type of badly. I decided to compile the map to see how things looked. Most importantly, I wanted to make sure CTs could actually spawn. What's the use of the map being bad if nobody can even play it to find out how bad it is? If you think about it, a really terribly designed map probably wouldn't even compile. We want everyone who loads this map to really appreciate how bad the map is to play, so I'm making it optimised enough to work, but appear to be designed by someone who was taking well above their recommended daily guidelines of sugar and heroin. Speaking of taking too much sugar and heroin, I may need to unbind my inspect key. I seem to have developed a very irritating habit of repeatedly inspecting my knife when walking around the map. It's made even worse by the fact I'm a peasant who's only got the default knife. Now that I've got a better idea of how CT spawn looks in game with the patio, I can say I'm happy with those textures, at least for the time being, and apply them to the stairs and the other fiddlier areas. I also added a barrier that wraps around the stairs. Of course this would involve making concave shapes, which Source doesn't like, so I had to split each of the segments into extruded Doritos, to stop the compiler from screwing up the shape. For the palace corners, I thought it would be nice to stick with the rounded theme that I've used at the back of the building. I made some of the windows breakable, and then I returned to adding foliage to the level. I was getting rather bored of the marble walls, so how about some nice bushes? Now, you know that fence we made to put at the top of the front garden? Well, now we're going to extend that to the main entrance, then modify it slightly so as it fits between the two entrances. Then we extend it around the perimeter of the garden. Rather than adjust the fence to meet the stairs at CT spawn, I decided it was easier to just adjust the stairs to line up with the fence. And here's how the map looks after the changes made today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It was basically 2 normal episodes mushed together into one longer one, so let me know how you feel about this episode. I don't want to make them boring, for obvious reasons. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!